Hey recovery family, welcome back to another episode of Constructing Our Virtual Inspirational Direction, 19 different ways. So today we're going to be talking about the physical side of recovery. Everyone's heard the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So we're going to start off with physical. There's going to be 4 separate episodes addressing each individual area. This one was kind of interesting because a lot of the thoughts I had around it was working out or running or things like that to improve your health. As I started digging a little bit more, there was a whole lot more that I've never really thought about. And there's a lot of science behind a lot of these things too. It was quite an interesting thing, and I've got a whole bunch of notes to go along with this because I don't want to misquote any of this stuff, and there's a lot of really good information. And again, if you guys are interested, shoot us a message as soon as the episode's over, and I can make sure you get the links to this stuff. Or I just use Google to find it, but I found a lot about acupuncture in particular. Never done it myself, but it seems like it's got a lot of stuff really going on, and there's it's got a lot of science dating back over 2,000 years, especially in the Chinese culture. So there's one in particular thing. It says that 4 out of 10 adults in the United States use some form of complementary or alternative medicine. That was one thing that I thought was kind of interesting because we don't all really talk about that, especially in the recovery community. So I do my steps, I do my work with my sponsor, and we don't really talk about all the alternative methods that may complement those things. Now, I'm not saying that these should replace your step work or replace your sponsor. What I'm saying is that they should be working alongside. And the idea behind a lot of these things is to treat the whole person, improving overall well-being rather than targeting just that single element. And I know you guys understand that when I talk about the holistic view of recovery, that that's the way I choose to do things, because my addiction did not just touch one area of my life. It affected me on all kinds of different levels, all kinds of different relationships. So my recovery has to look the same way. When I go look at my physicality, things that I damaged throughout my using, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of things. Like some of you guys know, I landed myself in the hospital recently. I don't know if that was a direct result of the things I did in active addiction, but it probably had something to do with it because I was a little young for the condition. But at the same time, I'm able to make some changes diet-wise and lifestyle-wise and get this stuff back on track. So first and foremost, when we talk about acupuncture, it's got a whole bunch of uses. And I'm telling you guys, I had no idea that acupuncture could do all of this. So I'm going to read off a couple things. Number one, it obviously reduces stress. That's one of our number one offenders. It says that nearly 77% of us admit that we have experienced the physical symptoms of stress. So why would we not be using something physical to treat those physical symptoms? Proven that acupuncture has been proven to lower stress hormones and moderate mood, to reduce anxiety, improve the overall feelings of happiness. And I think that's what we're all here for. I'm pretty sure that that's what I want recovery for. At least one of the reasons is to become a little bit happier with my life. So it talks about reducing back and neck tension and relieving joint pain in the hands and arms. That's awesome. Anytime I have pain, I would definitely want it relieved. And that was a big reason why I used. If things hurt, I wanted relief. And it didn't matter if it was emotional or physical. I wanted to not feel pain. There's a really a big section about relief from headaches. I don't necessarily suffer with that, but I know there's plenty of people out there that do. So the most common side effect of acupuncture is actually a sense of euphoria and relaxation. So acupuncture is a choice treatment for those seeking a less invasive, drug-free option. Like I said, this is all science. I found all this stuff online. Also reducing eye strain. Again, I'm not necessarily someone that has that issue. I'm very lucky and very blessed to have great eyesight, and I've never had to have anything to complement that. But it can relieve the eye strain that's often connected to neck tension. So there's a couple other ones I want to mention too. Improved immune system and reduced sick days. So we're in the COVID-19 stuff. That's what this is all about right now. Why would I not want to improve my immune system? Enhanced mental clarity and increased energy. So acupuncture patients report enhanced mental clarity and often experience a surge of increased energy. Improved sleep is an additional benefit. That's a great one, which is why acupuncture is used to treat sleep disorders like insomnia. It also has relief from digestive conditions. Now, a little bit about the history of it. I did not know this, but there's over 2,000 acupuncture points connected to pathways or meridians. Now, I have heard of that, and it talks about the flow of energy throughout your body, which is qi, and that's responsible for their overall health, or at least in those who practice acupuncture, that's their belief. There's also other ways, guys. So, like if you're like me and you were an IV user, and needles concern you. There's a lot of other ways that acupuncture can work on those meridians and those different points. There's heat, and I don't know how to pronounce the names of these things because they're a little crazy. There's also pressure, friction, suction, and impulses of electromagnetic energy. They have their own individual names, but those are some other ways to access and to stimulate those points. Again, I didn't know any of this stuff, so I thought it was pretty interesting. So acupuncture's overall idea is to stimulate the central nervous system. This in turn releases the chemicals into the muscles, spinal cord, and brain. These biochemical changes may stimulate the body's natural healing abilities and promote physical and emotional well-being. So throughout these next couple episodes, like I said, we're doing the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. There's going to be quite a few things that overlap. Now, these things have come from the National Institutes of Health. That is a national body that has a lot of credibility. So again, I didn't know any of this stuff, but someone out there has been doing studies on this for a while, and there's some real science behind it. And if you like science like me, this is some super interesting stuff. So it's been known to help with nausea caused by surgical anesthesia and cancer and chemotherapy, dental pain after surgery. It helps with addiction, helps with headaches, even menstrual cramps. There's some other stuff like fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, lower back pain, carpal tunnel syndrome, asthma, and there's a huge list below this that deals with digestive, emotional, ear, eye, and throat, gynecological, musculoskeletal, neurological, respiratory, and then there's a miscellaneous thing that deals with some of the other individual functions and addictions actually in that one. So like I said, there's a lot of science behind acupuncture, and I didn't know any of this stuff, and I thought it was super interesting, especially since I'm wanting to talk about the physical side of things this week. Now, there's a couple other things. There's an overall list that I made. So massages, acupuncture, acupressure, Reiki, yoga, meditation, biofeedback, and neurofeedback. That one is a serious rabbit hole, so be careful with that one. Nutritional therapy, and then herbal medicines. So I hit on a lot of these things. Reiki was another one that I'd heard of, but I didn't know a lot about. So this one is by far the least invasive from the research that I did. It does not directly cure anything. It doesn't actually have, it doesn't cure an illness or a disease, but it helps to manage symptoms. We do have an energy healer here. I don't know if Reiki is the practice that she uses, but it's a similar thing. So there's a bunch of studies that have been done around Reiki, and it's kind of interesting to think that there's no real physical contact, but it does have some healing abilities. So there's a 2015 study and a 2018 study that dealt with herniated disc, and then also with women having cesarean deliveries and reducing their healing time and their pain during the process. So again, this is stuff, if you want these links, guys, there's a whole lot of information, and I don't want to just burn up your time reading all this stuff to you, but Reiki has 5 major health benefit sections, and it's to release pain, anxiety, and fatigue, treats depression, enhances quality of life, boosts mood, and may improve symptoms of certain conditions like the headache, tension, insomnia, and nausea. So all of these things are things we deal with in recovery. We constantly talk about hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So those are physical things. Those are things that we can address and that we can fix. So some of these are definitely going to help us to minimize the effects of some of those, because we can't always eat immediately when we're hungry. We can't always immediately calm down when we're angry. We can't always find someone when we're lonely, and we can't always sleep when we're tired. So there are other ways to minimize the negative impact of those things. And I think that Reiki could be one of those. There's a lot of research behind past traumas and lying quietly in a room. So that's really the only negative side effect I found dealing with Reiki. So if that is something that you're dealing with, consult the person, whatever master you're dealing with, talk to them first and let them know what's going on. Like I said, there was really no other negative consequence other than dealing with a quiet room and some traumas that may be triggered by that. Next. There's a section on Reiki that deals with crystals and healing. So guys, if you're spiritual, and I mean, I have a lot of beliefs behind this myself, but some crystals definitely help out. And whether they do or not physically doesn't matter. If I believe something works, then it usually works. So as an explanation I give to my children, I took them down to the Phoenix and Dragon, and my son actually asked me, is any of this stuff real? And I told him, only if you believe in it. And that's something I personally believe about anything out there. If I don't believe in something, then it isn't real to me. It may be physically real in the world somewhere, but when we're talking about spiritual aspects and things like that, it's my belief, it's my journey, and it's what I choose to have in my life. So the Reiki stuff, guys, there's a lot of stuff out there behind that, but another one that I really want to talk about is nutritional therapy. So if you were like me when you used, you probably ate terribly, if you ate at all. And I know there's some actual certifications dealing with nutritionists in recovery. I know one personally, and this is something that I believe to be very helpful. I've recently changed a lot of my diet just because of the condition I mentioned earlier. I quit drinking sodas altogether, and that solved a lot of my heartburn issues. I've had it one time since I quit drinking sodas, and it was because I was eating hot stuff. But there's cutting down on sugar. It proves I quit vaping and did a lot of other things too. But like these small changes to the lifestyle, not a diet, but changes to my lifestyle, are easier to maintain. Like if I go at it from a standpoint, if I'm not going to eat carbs, I'm not going to eat sugar, I'm not blah 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 blah. If you're an addict like me, you're gonna want that. Like that's how I am. If I say I can't have this, or you tell me I can't have this, I want it. So what I did was, I'm just gonna be mindful of this. I'm gonna be mindful of the amounts that I'm taking in. I'm gonna be mindful of exactly how many carbs I eat in a day, and then you know what? Let's just make some small changes along the way so that I can minimize those. And drinking water, guys. Let me jump on that one real quick. There is boatloads of science behind the whole drinking water thing. And I mean, for those of you military types out there, they forced us to drink water in boot camp. And you know what? It helped. I don't remember, but maybe a handful of people getting sick the entire time. Drinking a lot of water definitely helps your body overall, but your immune system, it helps flush things out. It's made me feel a whole lot better. I carry my little gallon jug around with me everywhere I go now, and just constantly drink water. And then there's other ways that I can do things. Let me talk to you real quick about the nutritional aspect of things. We obviously know nutrients give body energy, but it also helps to build and repair organ tissue and strengthen our immune system. So if we're eating bad stuff, it's no different than putting, like if you took gasoline and you watered it down half and half with some water, and then maybe you threw a little sugar in there and some other mess, and you put that in your car, it's not gonna run very well, and it may not run very far. So that's no different than the fuel I put in my body. So if I'm constantly eating junk food, if I'm constantly eating fast food, if I'm constantly finding whatever things that are chock full of sugar and just processed foods, things like that, it's going to make me feel worse. And for you guys out there hungry, just because it fills that void doesn't mean it's always best. Drugs are a good example of that. So there are, like I said, there are people that specialize in nutrition and dealing with recovery. If you guys want any information on that, I can hook you up with the person I know. She's really awesome, and an awesome person in long-term recovery as well. So the one main thing that I got out of this was that all nutritionists, not just the ones dealing with recovery, always strongly emphasize sugar regulation. And when I first got clean, that was one of the first things I wanted. When I was detoxing anytime, for whatever reason, Reese's Fast Breaks were my jam. That was what I wanted. But, you know, everybody has their own little thing. But sugar's definitely something we battle with as a replacement for drugs, because we do still get that feeling. Sugar can be classified as a drug, guys, because it doesn't have any nutritional value, and it can change your mood or mind altering and change your mind. So think about that before you just like get the big old 5-pound bag of Sour Patch Kids at the store. So there's another thing that I read, that recovering alcoholics and addicts can avoid the sugar highs and lows that could send them running for a drink, because we can confuse that hunger with a want to drink. I don't know, but I wasn't an alcoholic. I was strictly drugs. That was me. So I never confused my want for drugs with being hungry, but I could see where someone would, because if I don't have what I want, I use something to fill that void. So sugar addiction is super common for those of us coming into recovery. And then men in the early stages of recovery often practice dysfunctional eating habits, including substituting food for their drug of choice. I don't know why it says men in this, because I think all people. This study particularly, I guess maybe it focused on men because it's part of an international research journal. So that's the only thing I can think that they would say just men. But I can promise you it doesn't matter, men, women, and everything in between. We replace like our drugs with food. It's very easy to do. There's a joke that we run around saying we put down the spoon and pick up the fork, and it's a very true thing in my life too. Another one, guys, out of all of these things, the most science that I found was between the acupuncture and the nutritional stuff, and then yoga. And I had no idea that you could become a doctor of yoga. Like, it's a real thing. One of the main things I want to point out is the purpose of yoga is to build strength, awareness, and harmony in both the mind and the body. That was a quote from Natalie Nevins, who is a doctorate of osteopathic medicine. So that's kind of impressive in my mind, because it not only allows me to work on my physical side, but it also allows me to tie it into the other things like I do in recovery. I've had actually a conversation with someone right before this video started, and they made it clear that meditation was a hard thing for them. And the yoga allowed them to kind of get into that meditative state while focusing on something physical. And like I said in the past videos with dealing with spirituality, for me, meditation wasn't that easy to begin with because I didn't like being alone with myself. So if I give myself a distraction, I might be able to have it a little bit more an effective way. So I didn't know this either. There's 100 different types or schools of yoga out there, or more than. So there's all kinds of stuff that goes behind this. And I want to really focus on the prevention aspect, because that's something that yoga actually teaches. It focuses on prevention by examining how your lifestyle and environment impact your health, rather than just treating your symptoms. The osteopathic medicine. This is kind of crazy. When I was reading about this stuff, like, it kept going and going and going. Like, I kind of fell off in a hole for a little while, because there was just so much science behind us, particularly these three. There's science behind all of this stuff, but those three have, insane amounts of legitimate, actually citable resources out there that it just impressed me. So I want to read this off to you, because this is actually a quote from Dr. Nevins. It's because there are so many different kinds of yoga practices, it is possible for anyone to start. Whether you're a couch potato or a professional athlete, size and fitness levels do not matter, because there are modifications for every yoga pose and beginner classes in every style. The idea is to explore your limits, not strive for some pretzel-like perfection. It is a great way to get in tune with your body and your inner self. Now, let me tell you what, my inner self wasn't somebody I wanted to talk to at all when I came into these rooms. So this is a way to get to that pathway without necessarily directly telling me I'm getting in touch with my inner self. Also by Dr. Nevins was the relaxation techniques incorporated in yoga can lessen chronic pain, such as the lower back, arthritis, headaches, and carpal tunnel syndrome. Yoga can also lower blood pressure and reduce insomnia. So it can increase flexibility, increase muscle strength and tone, improve respiration, energy, and vitality, maintains a balanced metabolism. It can help with weight reduction, cardio and circulatory health, improved athletic performance, and protection from injury. So the increased flexibility can keep me from getting hurt. So I know there's a lot of you guys out there that started because of a doctor's prescription. So if we were a little bit more flexible, maybe we would not have had that injury that caused that prescription. Maybe we don't have to worry about going to the doctor now because of an injury that could potentially get me some kind of opiates. Those are things that I really think about. It was especially when I went to the hospital the last time. I screamed at these people the whole time, no, I don't want any narcotics, I don't want any opiates. But that's not always that easy to do. Like, it's a very serious thing, and they don't always listen to us. That's one thing that we can do as people in recovery, is make sure that these doctors and nurses understand who we are, what we're trying to do, and make sure to explain to them, hey, this is not okay for me. This will put me into a place that I really can't get away from as easily as you think. So I didn't really touch on the herbal medicine side, and I didn't really touch on the biofeedback and neurofeedback, because there's a ridiculous amount of opinions on that. There is some science behind it, but a lot of the stuff that I found was more opinion than it was fact. So if you guys want to research those things, you're more than welcome to. I can tell you the biofeedback and neurofeedback thing, that was a rabbit hole I wasn't really wanting to go down. And there are some herbal medicines out there that help. Like, I know there's things like certain teas and stuff that can help with relaxation. Melatonin can help with sleep, and there's more of a lesser version of any kind of the drugs we may have used before. But for me, I really enjoy the physical side of things, because it does give me that endorphin release. It does give me that little bit of a rush. And it's kind of cool to be like, hey, I can go work out and kind of feel high. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's not the same. I'm not by no means telling you that it feels like, that first shot or anything like that. That is not what I'm saying, but it does give me that sense of joy, that sense of happiness, and I feel like I've accomplished something. So there's a lot of ways to do that. You can get out and walk. I know the social distancing stuff sucks, but you can go walk. There's no rule against you going outside and walking. You can get out in the sun. That helps us physically too. these are all really helpful things, guys. If you can't do anything else, if you're worried about getting outside, start drinking water. That's the most simple, basic level we can start at. So that's about all I got for today, guys. Make sure you come by the zone. We have a ton of food here, all for you guys. Please come pick it up. There's some really healthy stuff in there too. And if you need any healthy recipes going along with this physical side of stuff, let us know. I know myself and a lot of our staff has spent quite a bit of time cooking up all kind of good stuff. Even Miss Brenda's got some great recipes. So make sure you guys ask. Make sure you guys share and like this video. Please share this stuff. It gets it out to more people so that we can continue doing these things and we can help more folks out there. We have the Instagram, the Twitter, the different Facebook groups and Facebook pages. So I know Tom has linked all of them in the past videos. So make sure you guys are helping us out with that. And I look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday at 6 p.m. for another episode of Constructing Our Virtual Inspirational Direction, 19 Different Ways. Thank you very much.